Happy Saturday to you, everyone. So you want to turn your dog into a tracking machine. Let's get started. But before we do, you need to go possibly do a little bit of shopping unless you happen to have all this gear that you're going to need to go tracking with your dog. Okay, first thing, let's get started on that gear because this is stuff that will help you get from point A to point B if you get my drift. Let's get started. First thing, you're going to need a long line. Okay, I'd recommend about a 20 to 30 foot long line. This is made out of the biothane material, which I really like because it can get soaking wet, it can get filthy. You can still get a good grip on it. It's nice and thin. It's not going to make a lot of drag on your dog, put a lot of drag on when they're trying to move down that tracking field. All right, you'll also need a collar for your dog. I recommend that you start off with a band collar of some sort, not a slip collar, choke collar, or anything of that sort. Although I don't have a big hang up with those. If you really want to use it, go ahead. In fact, later in this tracking series, you'll hear me say, if your dog is a pulling machine, and yet that's one thing, if you're moving down the track, you can move quickly and still do it accurately. That's one thing. But if you're pulling me and you're trying to make these big mistakes, then the slip collar can actually act as a governor, like a self-governing machine to slow your dog down. Because if you can't breathe real well, then you can't track real well. In fact, if you ever see a detection dog doing some searching, is panting, well, it's not doing a very good job searching. They have to close their mouths kind of like you. Just do it right now. Just go, yeah, now try and do that with your mouth open. Yeah, it doesn't work so well, does it? Same thing goes for your dog. So again, I don't have a super hang up when it comes to slip collars of any type, sort of apply a compression. If anything, I do believe that there is some obedience that has to be done while you're tracking, and we'll go over that as we go over tracking itself. But again, maybe a build band collar. Make sure it's snug enough though, so that your dog can't back out of it. That's my biggest hang up with these type of collars, is most people don't put them on snug enough to prevent their dog from giving it a good old college effort. And next thing you know, boom, they back out of it and they're gone. I really don't care for that. You can use a harness. I don't have one laying out here in my spread, but you can certainly use a harness for tracking. As a matter of fact, later, that's what I do with all dogs I train to track that I'm going to then turn over to some agency. The harness can serve as an actual cue as to what is about to occur. My police dog Yager, when I would get the harness out of the back of my Jeep, he knew right then. Here came the tracking face. He had his game face on right then. I'm ready to track. He knew that harness. I only got to put that harness for one thing and one thing only, and that was to track. So again, I don't have a problem with harnesses. Kind of do a little bit in the beginning. If you want to use one, that's fine. But you're going to learn that you're going to have to do some control of your dog while you're moving down a trail to prevent those big mistakes. So there you have it. Band collar. All right, then you're going to need a regular short leash because you will be back tying your dog when we start doing this, and your dog will actually watch you lay the track. They will actually keep an eye on it, and there's something sticking on my sleeve there. I don't know what that is. It's not part of the tracking gear. The heck is that, cattle dog? But anyway, you're going to need to back tie your dog. So have your regular leash with you, but also have something, and keep an eye on that, and I'll warn you about that in tomorrow's video. Watch your dog. Some of them get so excited about tracking, they'll chew through the darn thing. Yeah, so you can opt for a downstay. You can bring your place cot with you, put your dog on your place cot, but you want them to see you laying the track because it won't take them but about 2 or 3 lessons before they start getting the clue as to what you're doing and what's about to happen. And if they really like those treats, man, and they're really like what's at the end of that track, they can't wait to go. Okay, so make sure you have a regular leash. You're going to need that as well. Then speaking of treats, these are my favorite treats of all time. This is actually a frozen dog food made by a company called Bill Jack. Bill Jack. I've been using this for over 3 decades. This is incredible stuff. It's very nutritious for your dog, but however, if your dog does have a poultry allergy, stay away from it, because one of the main ingredients in this is chicken. But it's nice and soft, and I really like that. Cow dog's trying to cheat over here. You see him just peeking around the corner. Here you go, buddy. Nice and soft. Down the hatch, gone. We're ready to move on. Keep moving. Nothing worse than using a crumbly type treat when you're training your dog to track. Reason being is they pick that up, they crunch and crunch and crunch and crunch and crunch and crunch. You're starting to go, oh my gosh. Okay, I only allotted 2 hours to get this 50-yard trail done. It can distract them. They can leave crumbs everywhere. Now all of a sudden they're just searching for those crumbs instead of moving along. Whatever treat you use, whether it be a little piece of bologna, a little piece of turkey, a little piece of hot dog. I wouldn't use cheese. Cheese is going to sit out there for a while, and your dog could come across it days later and then ingest that. I would just use something that they can inhale quickly and be ready to go get the next one. And also, you want to make sure that your treats are really soft. Like this, these things come in these little nuggets here. See if you guys can see it, put it away, you can see it. Like maybe about half an inch, 3/4 of an inch long. I take those and I even break that off. Because again, I want my dog to be in tracking drive. And if you get all these big nuggets, you're going to be done tracking at about 30 feet because you've had enough of them. Tiny little pieces. They don't stand out as much when they're laying down there on the track, so not a visual thing. I need you to locate these using your nose. Okay, so this is Biljack. Here's the only drawback to Biljack. Can't buy it in the state of Tennessee. So if you're watching this right now and you reside in Tennessee and you want to use Biljack, well, you're going to have to hop in your car and drive over to Arkansas, or you're going to have to drive to North Carolina because they don't sell it in this state. I've asked them why, and they will not tell me why. Maybe you'll have better luck. Maybe you can sit there and just kind of get them going, and maybe one day they will sell it here. But I was able to procure this when I was in the mountains of North Carolina. Biljack, but anything else will do. Hot dogs, again, bologna, anything that is soft, your dog digs it. They got to really, really, really like it. Please make sure you do that. I don't care how gross you think it is to cut up a hot dog or a piece of bologna. You think, oh, I would never eat that. Well, you're not your dog, and you're not the one crawling around on all fours sniffing the trail. At least I hope you're not. All right, so that's the treats. Okay, let's move on down the line. Then you need a treat bag. If you're going to have treats, don't be shoving them down in your pockets, especially anything that's soft. You shove that Biljack in your pockets, first of all, you won't have that little 3/4 inch nugget. You'll have one big Biljack ball. And if you don't use it all, you'll be like me. You'll forget it's in your pocket. And then when you run it through your washing machine and it clogs up all those little pores in your washing machine, you will have to suffer the wrath of your wife, gentlemen. Don't do that. Been there, done it. Okay? So make sure you have a treat pouch. When it comes to treat pouch, one of my favorite treat pouches of all time is made by a company called Ollie Dog. And I love them for two main reasons. But number one reason, the magnetic closure. Yes, that thing can hang open, you're done. There it goes, it shuts. So that thing's on your hip, pull out a treat, drop on the trap, bam, shut it. Because when you bend over, if you're doing something, then it doesn't, all your treats don't come falling out on the track. Love the magnetic closure. Also has a little carabiner clip type thing on the back of it. You can hang that on a belt loop if you want to, or other piece of gear, webbing gear on your backpack. You can do that. Love it for that. And I have long arms, and therefore I love the belt because the belt allows me to sling this thing low like a gunfighter. Way down nice and low, easy for me to get because you want quick access to these treats because you are going to be giving a heck of a lot of treats to begin with. As we move along, of course, like anything, those treats will start to fade away from the track and the reward will come at the very end. But not right now. Now, got to take baby steps here. So have a good treat pouch that you can carry your treats around in. Okay, you kind of need to know where you're going. You really, really need to know where the track is in the beginning. So therefore, I recommend that you acquire some sort of track markers. Now, those can be really anything. I've been known to take wooden clothespins, break them in half, spray paint them orange. Why the color orange? The color orange is one of those colors that most humans can see very easily, kind of like dead smack in the middle of our color spectrum. Hence why safety cones, traffic cones, all of those are bright orange. Hunters wear bright orange. Why do they wear bright orange? So they don't get shot by other hunters. They know that the deer cannot see the orange very well, and neither can your dog. So you can have these things out there and you can see them, but your dog's not going to really be able to see them at a distance. Here's the deal though. If you're on a day in which there's wind, make sure you take this flag, twirl it around a few times, there you go, and then tape that thing. You can still see the orange yourself, But remember, their eyes are designed to see movement in low light. And I cannot tell you how good they can see movement. And next thing you know, they will start putting together the common denominator of what occurs. These things are found all over the track. Note to self. When you see those flags indicate more treats. So therefore, me being a dog, why waste my time and energy here when I can just go over there to where one of those flags are? And I don't need to put my nose down on the ground. Smart animals they are. Don't let them do that. If you're going to use a flag on a day in which you have no breeze whatsoever, it's just calm as all get out, go ahead and just leave it unfurled. But on days where you have any breeze at all, this thing's going to move, tape it up. Stick it deep down into the ground. Okay, so those are just again, come up with anything, but just make sure your dog can't see it. The colors that they see the very best are like a royal blue, a hunter green, and yellow. So I wouldn't use anything in those colors. All right, you also need to know where you're going. Something else you can use is a compass. A compass, and if you don't have a compass, then use that little compass app on your iPhone. Yeah, just whip the darn thing out and get a bearing on where your track is going. Anytime you make a turn, you make a full turn, make sure you get a bearing on that turn. And when you've got all that stuff, you need to be noting it in your logbook. Yeah, get yourself a little utility field book. I love these little moleskin books. In fact, they're made by, if I can see, didn't bring my glasses out here today. Oh, geez. We'll drop it down. Well, maybe, yeah. Moleskin. Yeah, MOLESKIN. You can look them up on Amazon or look them up on their own company. I love these little field manuals. You can just jot in there what you need to do, throw it in your back pocket, and you're ready to go. Make sure you have a field manual because you will be needing to note information in the field while you are laying the track. You will need to be aware of where is the darn track. How many paces was this particular length? And speaking of that, I'm going to set my little manual down so I don't forget about it. I don't have mine here today. That's called a manual counter, clicker counter. You used to see them in the grocery stores when they take inventory long before those barcode things came out. Right there. That's the exact one I ordered. I ordered it on Amazon, and it didn't come in time for this video. Imagine that. We're all suffering from it. Delayed shipment. Hopefully mine will be in by tomorrow, but we're not going to need it tomorrow. So if you guys go ahead and order today, you're going to need it probably by Tuesday, Wednesday, for sure. So go ahead and order your little manual clicker. I think that thing was all of about $7, somewhere in there. Wasn't very much. So go ahead and get that ordered, because as you're moving down that track and you're starting to actually lay a track, you are thinking about a lot of things. What is the terrain itself? What is the vegetation on the surface? What is the wind direction at this moment? What is the ambient temperature? What is the humidity? And all this stuff can be gathered on your weather channels. It's so much easier nowadays. We used to have to go put the old finger in the air thing, drop blades of grass. All that sort of stuff wasn't that accurate. And you sit there and go, do I have moisture on my skin? No, it's not humid, so it's dry. Yeah, it's a lot more scientific nowadays. You're going to need to know all of that, but while you're out there in that field, you also need to make sure of one critical thing, that you better not make a mistake in the beginning, and that is to cross your own track. That is advanced tracking. That will come later, but that is not going to come in the beginning. You need to know the length of every track, about how many paces you laid, and therefore, instead of counting those in your head, because you'll be like me, you get like 65, 67, okay, what the heck's going on over there? What? I'll be doing one of these, and then all of a sudden, oh, what number was I on? 60 or 70? Yeah, don't do that. Click, every step you take, click, every step you take, click, every step, click, you got it. Manual clicker. And then have your little field notebook, because you're going to need to write down several things. I'll go over these things with you again, but this information is critical. And then when you go home, you need to have a righteous logbook of some sort, and you need to transfer all that information into that logbook. You need to put the date, the time, the location, the field conditions. Were they dry? Were they wet? The surface vegetation, wind direction and strength, humidity. Then you need to make a little section. How'd my dog do? And be honest about it. I mean, after all, who's going to look at it but you? Be honest with yourself and be honest with your dog. Know what's going on here. Try to get a feel for it. Because as you even draw lines, I typically, and this you usually refer from memory, but I'll actually go back as quickly as I can as soon as the track is over and make these notes. I won't wait for the next day or 2 days later. And I'll kind of draw like a visual line of what my dog did. If he got tangled up in a turn, I'll draw that or write something on there. Because you want to be able to look back on your logbook, and after about 4 days, 5 days, every 5 days, I will sit there and compare them. I like these because you can just tear them out. They got a little perforated edge on them. Tear them out, and I'll just tape them to a wall. And I'll watch the progression, kind of like one of those old cartoon movies that they had to draw every little movement that the figure made, animation. You can see it progress, or you can see it going backwards. And that means you got to make a change in what you're doing. So, field book and a righteous log book for when you're home. Get ready to make some notes in. Okay, what else do we have on there? Oh yes, hydration. I cannot tell you how dehydrated tracking will make a dog. Yeah, there are scientific levels. Didn't want to share all that information with you today, but make sure you bring water for your dog and make sure your dog is good and hydrated. In fact, what I used to do on really dry days is I'd actually wet their nose, put a little bit of water in their nostrils, just moisten it up. That moisture is really going to help your dog. And they make these little bottles. This one's made also by Ollie Dog, go figure. And you can take it apart and you can pour the water in the little bowl there and your dog can have a drink out of it. And then you just get to figure out how to put it back together. I'm embarrassed to say, but the first time I took this thing apart, I went, you know, and typical guy didn't bother to, I'd already thrown the instructions out seconds after I got the thing in the mail. Okay, so there's your little Ollie Dog hydration. Use whatever you want. Make sure you have something for you. You're going to become dehydrated as well. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water before you lay that track. Make sure you drink it even during the track on these long tracks. So let's talk real quickly about long tracks real fast. First of all, on cold days, dress in layers. Have a backpack. You're going to need to carry all this gear in it anyway, but have a backpack with some clothes in it. Have your beanie in there. I've always said keep the dome warm and the rest of you stay warm. You've got to keep your head warm. Head covering. That's why you didn't see too many videos of me in the mountains without head covering. And I'll just let you in on a little secret here. Right up until the very second I hit start on these Facebook Live videos, I had on big beanies, thick beanies, neck gaithers, everything. But right when I'm going, okay, and start, boom, beanies off, hats off, and that's it. And I'm ready to go. And I'm going, hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, trust me, I was trying to stay warm when it's really cold like that. So have a beanie, have a down jacket, have a raincoat, have layers. Because you're in the middle of a track and you're freezing. If you're freezing and you're soaking wet, you can't concentrate. And if you're burning up, you can't concentrate. Get that stuff off of you. Either lay it down behind you on the trail because you're supposed to know where it is, remember, so you can go back and get it, or stuff it in your backpack. But do not abort the track if your dog's doing well and go all the way back to your starting point just because you're a little bit uncomfortable. Stay comfortable on the track, bring your hydration. And then, if not for another reason, when you start getting these long tracks and they start to go through woods and down ravines and up the side of mountains, remember what I told you about survival. Always be ready. When I'm doing tracking training, it's going to cover 5-6 miles through a forest. Oh, trust me, I have everything I need to survive for at least 2 days while I'm out there. Everything that's required for going out. You bet. And one time when I was a police officer, I tracked a criminal for 7 miles all night long. And I'm telling you what, I'm so glad I've always obeyed that rule because I truly think I could have died of hypothermia. No doubt. It was absolutely freezing and didn't realize the track would last that long, but I took my gear with me. So you're going to need to do the same thing. So make sure you also have a good, comfortable backpack. When it comes to backpacks, I like them with a chest strap so the straps don't start to pull out because you're going to be bending over a lot with your dog, and there's nothing worse than those straps start coming off and falling in the Again, you're going to have to concentrate on tracking. Make it to where you can do that. Okay, and then last thing I think I have up here, are my clips. Okay, these are awesome. Throw these in your backpack, and all they are is just little handy-dandy clips. Wonderful for when you're tracking in a forest-type area boom, you can already have these things pre-set up with a post-it note on it, a little index card, and you can just go, pop, click them right to a tree branch, and now you know, you have a visual reference yourself, but you know what, this thing is way above the ground, your dog's never going to see it. And again, as long as there's no wind, you can put something on it, but if not, just leave it by itself, and you'll be able to see it hanging there off of a branch. And I tell you what, I got familiar with these. They were making these when I was just a wee bitty kid in Alaska, when my mentor would clip these to a tree with a note saying, "See you back at camp." And camp was about 15 to 20 kilometers that way. Yeah, so I got really accustomed to these little clips here. Make sure you always have some of these clips with you to make sure that you can mark your track. Because a lot of times these little markers right here, we're going to start going away from these as the track moves along, the training moves along, and you won't see these in the forest anyway. They'll be behind a tree. Need things that you can see to help you navigate the track. Okay, so I think I've covered everything. Cow Dog, you want another treat here, buddy? That's all the basic equipment. If I think of anything else while we're getting into it, I'll certainly bring it up there to you. But tomorrow we're actually going to get started in the first step that we take in teaching your dog how to track someone. Super excited? I know I am. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And if you can, go out here and procure some of this equipment. I got a clicker on Amazon. You can probably get most stuff on Amazon. And this right here, if you're watching in a state that carries this, usually you can find it at your local grocery store. Go look there, see if they have it. All right, guys. Check in with you tomorrow. We'll get started. All right, mate. It's good. Okay, now I have to get up and walk around over there and turn off this video.